People need an income that's guaranteed to them.
If you lose money to taxes, you're never getting that money back.
You need to get serious about adding some lower risk.
Greed. I don't like greed.
The thing to be afraid of, honestly, is the thing that we're not thinking of, the black swan event.
There's a tsunami coming. Bye.
Welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Just coffee talk.
There's a lot of noise, a lot of chatter. Who do you listen to? Who do you not listen to? You have to stay focused.
A fun and informative look at the issues of wealth, retirement, and protecting your life savings.
These advisors out there that were trained to sell, and have all these fees. They don't want to talk about this product, so they make less money.
And now, Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Hello again, and welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, you can find us, of course, at zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. If it's time to talk about your retirement, that is what Charisse does. This is her lane that we help. And if you are getting ready for retirement and you don't know where to go and you haven't found that person yet, that is why we have this show, is to introduce you to Charisse. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great and rejuvenated for sure. And I'm a new woman, Randy.
You international traveler, you.
It wasn't a trip of luxury, okay,
right.
Randy?
All right. This was a working trip.
It was. So I've always wanted to go on a mission. And the Tim Tebow's team had invited us on a mission 3 years ago. A hurricane stopped it. And I was a little scared to go anyways, because it was in Guatemala City, not the safest place to be. And then so the last year I just couldn't go, too many moving parts. And 6 months ago, the president of the Tim Tebow Foundation said, Charisse, I know you want to do this. I know your dream is to do a mission with us, and we're committing and we're doing it. And so you're not going to say no when the president tells you that. So I said, okay, let's do it. Let's not worry about it, and let's go help people, right? And that's what it's all about, helping people. So we went to Guatemala, and I don't know if people know this about the Tim Tebow and his foundation, but he really is trying to save the world. If you ever look at his website and see what he's doing, it's beyond your imagination. And this is just one of the legs of what he's doing. But he has Tebow Down Guatemala. And over the last 4 years, he's grown Guatemala, and he has 5 campuses, and there's over 150 students at each campus. And it's for children who have Down syndrome, autism, things on the spectrum. And I've heard about it and I always thought it was amazing. And it's different when you go there. It's different when you go and you help. And my tears that I held back were tears of joy, Randy, because knowing that somebody cared enough to do that, to take care of all these kids who are very impoverished, most of them can't even afford to be there. And Tim Tebow has raised money and money and money just to put over there to help them. And so it was quite amazing. We also went over there to set up 2 separate Night to Shine events. And that was incredible. I love Night to Shine. And that's the one night that these students across the country, the nation, get to have their one night to shine. And they walk down the red carpet, and they're wearing their prom dresses, and they get to be crowned king and queen at the end of the night. It's incredible to watch. And I took people, part of our team, the Grilled Cheese Foundation and Zinnia, and everybody, I wasn't sure how they are all going to be or react, and you don't know, but you come back a different person. You come back like, wow, we have nothing to complain about here in America, number one. You feel very blessed, and we forget some of the small things, the things we get the most aggravated about here in our world and our silos and our jobs. And I really did come back much differently. We had a couple of 911s here, and I was like, we can manage this, no doubt, with a smile. And you're definitely a changed person. But we did set up 2 Nights to Shine. So it was a lot of hard work in getting from one city in Guatemala to another. Let's just say I don't get car sick. I was car sick, and the roads are bumpy. It's very impoverished. I mean, you see women walking in sandals with these baskets on their head. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
People, there's a lot of indigenous people still there, and they're just doing things from, years and years ago, and some things just don't change. And we were there to help, and I thought we did a great job as a team, and it was just fun. It's nice to be back. into the swing of things, but it is definitely nice to give back, even if it is in another country.
Yeah.
Because we do the same thing here. Night to Shine's here, and we're always giving back here. But it was an incredible experience, and anybody who's part of the Tim Tebow Foundation and helps them and wants boots on the ground, they could always use help over there in Guatemala as well, and of course anywhere in the world. But it's a blessing that they're there.
It's one of those things, you sit in church and, they say, okay, we're going to go on a mission trip, and you're working, 40 hours a week, and you got a family and all that, and you can't do it. But then you get into retirement, and all of a sudden, now you've got the time, and now you've got the money. So it's something that people should consider. And I always say this, I go through McDonald's or I go through Publix, and they always ask you, hey, would you like to round up to the Ronald McDonald House? Or would you like to give a little money to this particular charity? And it's easy at that point to say, no, not today. But, when you're face to face with people who are in need and you are there and fully able to help, it's a little harder to say no. And I think that's a good thing. I think that when you see people face to face, now you start to understand that there is another side of the coin. There are other people that are in need, and you are very blessed in your life. And it does make an impression on you. And it obviously made an impression on you, Charisse.
It did. It was amazing. And they're doing great things over there. And they need more people, more help, more donations. And I just vouch every dollar that goes to that foundation goes to all of his endeavors. Yeah. He does not get paid through those donations. And I verified it, which is really cool to have found that out and fact check it.
Well, Tim has been a great friend to Zinnia Wealth, and is certainly one of the great people to come out of the University of Florida, that is for sure.
Yes.
Well, what we do on this show is to try to help all of you when it comes to your retirement. And so we're always looking for some of the things that you are concerned about. And I know that as you look at markets right now, there's a lot of tariff talk, there's a lot of Fed talk, there's a lot of interest rate talk, inflation talk. There is a lot of up and down right now. And so people are making some adjustments on that. Here is a guy from, it used to be Citibank. Now I guess it's just Citi. What is it with these banks, Charisse? They keep changing their names. It used to be TIAA CREF, and now it's TIAA. It used to be Chase Manhattan. Now it's just Chase. It used to be Dunkin' Donuts. Now it's Dunkin'. What is it with these people? Anyway. I digress.
There's always a purpose and a reason, Randy. None of us understand it, and we'll just get used to it. I mean, there used to be the Gulf of Mexico. Now it's the Gulf of America.
Yeah, it's all this rebranding everywhere.
Rebranding.
Okay, anyway, so this guy's from Citi, and he said this. I thought this was interesting. This is not a time to swing for the fences. This is a time for risk management, not risk avoidance. Interesting statement. And I think we can say that about many of the people that you talk to about retirement. We don't want to completely get out of the market. We don't want to completely give that market up and the growth that goes with it, but we have to watch it. So is this a year, or is this a time when you look at the economy and people are coming in and say, we're going to be extra cautious. We're going to build in a couple of different layers of protection. Is that part of the conversation right now?
Yes, it is absolutely part of the question, because we want you to have everything that you want in a portfolio. But we also want to advise, don't swing for the fences on all your dollars. You can still swing for the fences on all your dollars, but there's different versions and different ways to do it. So I always have to ask the question is, hey, if we're swinging for the fences, somebody's going to say, hey, that means I want to make 6% this year. Some people are going to say, I want to make 12. Some people are like, no, Charisse, I want to make 30%. So everybody's swing for the fences is actually a little bit different depending on the household. And so depending on the household and what the need is, swinging for the fences is okay. Do you know that you could swing for the fences? And I would call it, in my opinion, a CD alternative, a 15-month CD alternative. And as long as the market is going up, hey, you can make up to like 12.5%. And then you're also guaranteed not to lose, right? So if that is swinging for the fences, I'm okay putting a couple bucks in that, because you can't lose a dime and you can make up to 12.5%. Like, I think that's fabulous swinging for the fences strategy. And it's very short term, 12 months, 15 months, because we don't know what's going to happen over the next 12 to 24 months. So you can still have money in the market that can take a loss, Randy, but I don't want all your money to take a loss. And I don't need all your money to make 30%. So it also depends on the season of life you're in. Do you have 10 years before you're about to retire, 5 years, or are you in retirement? So that is another big part of your risk score and this risk analysis that we go through. This risk scale that you have to step on, you got to do a gut check, a heart check, a brain check. How much can you afford to lose? How much can you emotionally even handle to lose? And how much are you willing to make? And most people come in our office, Randy, and they don't say, hey, Charisse, give me the jiggliest thing you have. They say, I want to make a good return, but I know that I'm living on this money now, or I'm getting ready to retire, and I don't want big losses. And we've been listening to your show for a while. So how do you do this, Charisse? And we start going through asset allocation and asset location and asking, if you say you have $1 million and you lose 10%, are you going to have a heart attack and be mad at me? No, not at all. And then I'll say, well, if you have $1 million and you lose 100,000, are you going to be upset? Well, heck yeah.
Same number, girl.
So that is the same number, but people hear percentages, but they don't know it until they see it in real dollars. When you see $1 million account go down to 900, you're like, what just happened? And then you turn on the TV, right? If you're checking your stuff. So everybody's a little bit different. I have clients. It's like, hey, Charisse, I can handle 30% loss. That's $300,000 on $1 million, right? So everybody's going to be different. That is not cookie cutter. I do recommend, though, we do a portfolio analysis and x-ray. And honestly, it's a second opinion review also. So there's two things that are combined. And when you come in, you might not even know what your risk score is. Do you know that 8 out of 10 people say, I'm not going to take big losses, I'm balanced? The last individual that just came to our office last week said that to me, and I just didn't want to tell him the bad news, but I had to softly break it to him. It's like, I know, and they really like their advisor. So I'm not about breaking up advisors and relationships, but you do need to be in the know and know where you stand. And I said, you see this chart? It says 75% of your money is in the stock market. You're living on this money. What are you going to do when the market crashes? And it could be in a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 5 years. Maybe we have a gangbuster 5 years. I'm not going to predict anything, but there's some volatility on the horizon, right? And they said, well, we're going to keep living on our money. I said, have you ever heard of the term, I'm afraid to run out of money in retirement? And he said, yes. I said, do you know why that's the biggest fear in retirement? He went, well, because we don't run out of money. I was like, no, the reason it's the biggest fear is because people were pulling money out of their accounts when the market went down for 2 or maybe 3 years, and they still had to pull out of their accounts to live on, to pay their bills, pay that gap that Social Security and pension didn't pay, the 4 or 5 year crawl out of that hole. So that's 7 years that you were touching your money when you weren't supposed to. He went, oh, I don't have any of that other money. I went, no. So your advisor should advise you that, hey, you can't touch your money now, and you're pulling, $60,000 from this year. Where are you going to pull that from? He's like, I don't have a plan. That is why I'm here, I guess.
There you go.
Right? So know your risk score. Come in and see us, and we'll show you how to avoid risk, still be able to swing for the fences without a massive amount of risk, and give you that second opinion, because you need to know now versus 2 years from now, 5 years from now, especially if you're living on your money or you're about to retire.
Well, there are different levels of risk, even in the stock market. So if we say, you're not comfortable with the stock market, well, maybe you're not comfortable with Bitcoin and hedge funds, but maybe you would be okay with a utility stock, which has much less volatility, as Sharif would say, not so much jiggle in the market. So we would love to be able to talk to you about that. And that is one of the big discussions we have. How much money do you want in the market and at risk, the stuff that goes up and down? And how much money do you have in the other pile that doesn't go up and down, that you can rely on even if the market goes down? Do you have any kind of that money? Well, let's explore all those places too. Give us a call. We'll do what we call a portfolio x-ray. If you go to our website, which is zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com, go to the bottom of the page. You're going to see a gold box. It says complimentary retirement consultation. That's exactly what it is. It's a free meeting to just get to know you and figure out what you're interested in and concerned about. You can click on that box and put in a little information, and then we'll give you a call. Or you can call us right now, 833-368-3680, 833-368-3680. Well, while Charisse was away, we had a Super Bowl, and it was a little bit of a shock of how that all turned out. But what can we learn about retirement planning from that Super Bowl? I'll tell you coming up next on Retirement Coffee Talk. Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, you can find us, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. And tool around the website a little bit, learn more about Sharice. As you're there, you can also hit our media tab, and then it'll bring you to all the previous radio shows and podcasts and interviews. You can find our podcast under most any podcast provider. Just look up Retirement Coffee Talk. All right, so football season is over. The Eagles won the Super Bowl, and I was
Wait, let me stop you.
Okay.
Who did you want to win?
I actually wanted the Eagles to win. I did.
You know what? So I was like, I want the Chiefs. Everybody wanted the Eagles to win, of course. Yeah, I wanted the Eagles to win, but I really wanted to see the Chiefs go three-peat? Yeah, 3 Super Bowls in a row. And so I was going for them, but then I kind of wanted to go that way, but the Eagles got it.
Yes, they did.
The world decided. That's what happened.
It wasn't much of a game, but I still enjoyed it.
I can't believe it. Yeah.
But I was listening to a little sports talk, and one of the things that the announcer said was, at the end of the season, there's one team that's happy and 31 others that aren't, and they're all going back to the drawing board. And he's right. I mean, we've heard these headlines and seen all this. There are some teams that are making some changes, a few tweaks here and there. There are other teams that are making pretty big changes, and there are other teams that are firing the coach. So they're all trying to do better, trying to have more success, trying to win the Super Bowl next year. Well, when I think of what you do, Sharice, and we talk about this a lot, people will bring in a financial plan, a retirement plan from another advisor, and you will give them a second opinion. You'll take a look and say, okay, here's what I see. I'll bet there's times when you're kind of in that same position. You need a few tweaks, or we may need to make a lot of changes here, or you need to fire the coach. So,
yeah.
All right. So
Coach Sharice over here.
So tell me what you usually find when you do these analysis, when you do that second look, what do you find?
So one thing you guys can guarantee when you come in and see us is that all the advisors are trained to do the same thing, but we're very fair and balanced, and we're not here to beat anybody up. We're here to show truth and fact, and all on data and math. And it's interesting. I would say 8, well, maybe 7 out of the 10 times, if it was weekly, we see people with way higher fees than they should have. We see them with overlap. Like they'll have like 4 or 5 different accounts, but all these accounts are doing exactly the same thing. And the reason why they have them all doing the same thing, so you might have a Roth, you might have an IRA, you might have a brokerage account, you might have another, but they're all doing the same thing. And so a diversified asset class and strategy in a portfolio, that's not diversified. That's dangerous, actually. It's very dangerous. So we see that danger zone for 7, sometimes 8 out of 10 people a week. And we'll show it to you. It's like, listen, if you like your advisor, that's great, but we want to show you some things because the heat's going to get hot, and you're going to want to make sure you're a little bit more diversified. And we go over through that. But the biggest part, I think, that gets people is we show them their fees. And they're like, oh, I have 20 funds, and of the 20 funds, 10 of them have nearly a 1% internal fee. I said, yes. And he said, they'll say, hey, I'm paying my advisor 1% or 1.25%. So if I add that fee to that fee, so I'm paying 2% to 2.25, I'm like, you sure? Right here, here's the math. And I give them their binders. And they're like, that seems like a lot. I'm like, it is a lot. I wanted you to tell me that. I said, all in portfolios should be 1.5%, 1%, maybe even 0.5%, depending on what your goals are. And somebody who has an all bond portfolio, you should certainly not be at 1.5. You shouldn't be at 2. You shouldn't be at 2.5%. You should be looking at 0.5%, maybe 1 max. And we're showing people how to put hundreds of thousands of dollars back in their pocket if they live another 30 years in retirement by saying, hey, if you like this bond, here's another bond that doesn't have that fee, and you can see, here's the proof, that it makes the same amount of money, but it actually made it a little bit more, or maybe it made a hair less. But think of all the money you're saving on fees that you can reinvest in your portfolio, or you can spend or gift. So we're big in that fee analysis and reflecting on those thoughts, because people need to know, because that's a lot of money. You work hard for your money, right? And so some portfolios, Randy, they'll come in and we have to tweak the whole thing. I'm like, good gracious, did anybody even care when they put this together? some people come in, I'll be like, listen, half of this looks really good and I wouldn't want any of this to change, but this half, we probably need to do some work. And so sometimes they'll let us do it, or sometimes they'll take it back to the advisor. Some people come in, it's very few, but they do. And I was like, you know what? Your advisor's doing a standout job, and I can appreciate this person. I wouldn't do anything different, right? And it happens once in a while. But we're, as fiduciaries, we're going to tell you, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's how we built so much trust, is just saying, hey, we can bob and weave and tweak here and do that, and it's up to you. And we're just happy we could show it to you, because you're going to save lots of money, right? and then some people just don't know what they don't know. And so this is why this second opinion review is just so valuable, because what if you didn't know that when we run this portfolio X-ray and this second opinion, that next time the market crashes, you could potentially lose 45%. That's also part of that tweaking and finding out where you stand in a portfolio. Because I will tell you, 7 out of 10 of those people, they are between 35 and 45%. And the first thing they say is that they feel like they're pretty protected. They told their advisors what they wanted. But then when they see this report, they're like, wait a minute, I said I wanted to be more conservative. Yet they're not. And it's quite the anomaly to me. I don't quite understand. I really don't understand how that happens and what happens in other offices. But people are definitely glad when they come in and they see us and we're showing it to them, because it's real stuff we're doing here.
Well, one of the things that I say in almost every show is there are two kinds of people that listen to this show. You either have an advisor or you don't. And if you do, you're listening to this show and you're going, I wonder if I'm missing anything. And that's when you come in to see Charisse, and she does that analysis for you. And these are the kind of things that come out. And you have brought up Tony Robbins in the past. And in Tony Robbins' book, he is very, very in tune with fees. And he'll talk about how over a 20-year period of time, if you're paying 1% or 1.5%, and then you add on the investment fees that go along with that, you could pay $200,000, $300,000 in fees over a 20 or 30-year retirement. It's not that unusual. And imagine what you could do with $200,000 or $300,000.
Right. And the other thing, Randy, is that this is such a valid point. And a lot of times, nothing's being done in those portfolios. They really are just a buy and hold portfolio.
Wow.
Now, if you're going to pay that kind of money, there better be active management. There better be movement. It's just not.
Yeah, what kind of services are you getting?
Right. So you got to look at the services and what you're buying into, right? So, but still, 2% is really high. I mean, it's just not necessary. Come on. You're living on your money. We have some safe money. We have a couple alternatives. We have some risk money. Let's just make sure we don't run out of money, right? And keep the fees down.
Well, we talk about risks and fees and taxes and estate planning. These are the foundational blocks of what a retirement plan is at Zinnia Wealth. And these are the things that we look for when you come in. And when you say, I wonder if I'm missing anything, well, you might be. And we want to point that out. And how many times has it happened where people have been very hesitant to come in? They finally do. We do the portfolio x-ray and they look at you and they say, why didn't I come in 5 years ago? Because it was an eye-opening experience. It was a good experience, and it was something that they needed to get done.
You know, Randy, we just love on people here. We love people. We all pull up our pants the same way every day. And we're just proud of what we do here, and we want to help as many as we can.
So we would love to have that opportunity to give you a hand with your retirement, at least give you a look at what you've done. Wouldn't you like to know, your 401k is going to do what for you per month? Or where should I put that money? Or am I headed for a tax problem? Let's get all that out on the table right now before you retire. 833-368-3680 is our number, 833-368-3680. Or you can use our website, which is zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. Look for the gold box that says Complimentary Retirement Consultation. Click on that, and you'll be on your way. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, Social Security is a big, big topic for retirement planning. And I saw an article where a guy proudly stuck out his chest and said, I am going to get $1.5 million in Social Security benefits. And I said, yeah, it's exactly what I said. How does that math work out? Well, we'll tell you. And are you in for that? That's coming up next on Retirement Coffee Talk. Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers and Zinnia Wealth. Online, find us, zinniawealth.com, Zinnia wealth.com. So at the beginning of the show, we were talking about Sharice and going on the mission trip to Guatemala. So not only are you doing some fun work outside the country, but you got to bring it down to the local level. So the Cookie Monster was out again on Valentine's Day. Tell me about that.
Yes. So the Ocala Foundation, just an amazing foundation. They're out there to help the community, make them feel valued, and also give back to the community, but help other foundations grow their foundations, of course. So they do this Valentine's event, and they went to 69 locations this year, and they had volunteers. Zinnia Wealth and the Grilled Cheese Foundation were volunteers. And we go to different locations, and OPD, the sheriff's station. We went to the health department. Some people went to hospice. We also went to Air One, where they fly the helo, the helicopter, and they were so thankful because nobody ever goes out and sees them. And just to give them, a bunch of cookies, take some pictures, and to say, hey, we really appreciate you. Shake their hands, meet them, and to say thank you for continuing to help us, save us, and be the front of the line crew. And the fire departments and the mayor came out over at OPD, and he was just so thankful that we do this. And Ashley and Lauren over there at the Ocala Foundation, they're just doing great things for our community, things I would never even have thought of. And somehow they put this all together, and they got an amazing team. And anybody out there that ever wants to volunteer with the Ocala Foundation or help out or donate, they've got so much cool stuff out there to continue the drive to continue make Ocala great.
Nice.
So I'm just very thankful for them.
Every time I think about Valentine's Day and cookies, my mom used to make 2 heart-shaped sugar cookies and in the middle pink frosting, and it was like a sandwich cookie.
Aww.
Man, when I go to school, I'd bring extra one of those, and I could trade the. Oh man, I could make out like a bandit with those things.
Good old memories.
But I always saved enough for myself. That is for sure. All right, okay, let's talk about Social Security here for just a second, because I saw this headline and I went, what? It says I did the math on my Social Security, and I'm going to get $1.5 million.
Okay.
I was like,
tell me more.
Exactly. Yeah, so I started diving into the math. So I want you to count how many times I say if here. Okay, Sharice?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right. So if this guy were to make the maximum, over the maximum for 40 quarters of his life, and if he were to wait until 70 to take his benefit, and if he were to live 25 years to the age of 95, and if inflation doesn't go up crazy and he gets a good COLA, yeah, you could probably get $1.5 million. How many times did I say if?
That was a lot of ifs. So, yeah, I mean, you would have to be collecting $5,100 or so in Social Security for that number, right?
Yeah, the top of the ticket there.
Yeah.
How often does that happen? I mean, honestly.
I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
I've never seen a $5,100 monthly Social Security check.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
no. So, like you said.
What? So I got a stat here. It says, according to Social Security, only 6% of workers make above the taxable maximum. And that's in 1 year. This guy did it apparently for 40 quarters. Okay, so that's a long time. So what do you usually see? So what I'm getting at is this. Social Security is a big benefit. There's going to be a lot of Social Security that goes into your income plan. It could be 30, 40, 50, 60%, maybe even more of what you're going to be taking home in retirement. And if you add that up over 20 or 25 years, it's a pretty big number, isn't it?
It really is. And so there's hard decisions to make when it's time to collect Social Security. That's why we do Social Security analysis for people that come in that are getting ready to take Social Security, and or let's say you're not going to take it for 5 years. We want to know now, is that really the right decision? Because the earliest you can take Social Security is age 62. Full retirement age is really around 66 now. And then the latest you can take it is age 70. And if you delay from full retirement age 66 to age 70, you get 8% every year on average, and that's not including COLA, so it'll go up even higher if you don't. So you get more money. So a lot of people, when they come in, we do this income plan, and a lot of them already assume that they're going to collect at age 70. Also, the other batch of people who come in say, we're both not going to collect to age 66, so it depends on your age. So we do the math. And a doctor is the one who tested me on this years ago, and said, Sharice, are you sure I should wait to age 68 to collect? I'm like, well, you're going to have more dollars in the future, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, what if I die early? I'm like, well, then you're rolling the dice, and we really don't know, do we? No, I don't know, Sharice. And so he's one who tested me years ago and saying, why don't we do the math? And so he said, what if I took it now at 62 years old versus taking it at 67? And I said, well, let's do the math. We did that math for him. And by golly, he was right. For his scenario, based on other incomes and rentals, he had this small pension. We looked at the full kit and caboodle, what the value would be 30 years down the road. For him, it actually did make sense to collect Social Security at 62. And so I was really thrown off. And we were using Excel back then. Now we have some very sophisticated software that does it for us very quickly. And we can really see the real picture of it now. I also had another couple who came in, Randy, that we were going to collect at 66. That was their plan. And at the end of the day, what I found out is that if the Mr. passed, Mrs. would get no pension. When somebody passes, you lose one of the two Social Security checks, right? It's typically the smaller of the two. That's the easiest way to remember it. And I said, well, if both of you collect at 66 and one of you don't delay till 67, or let's say if you're 62, it doesn't matter the example, it's just the concept, and one of you don't collect at age 70, maybe that's the better strategy. And the thing is that people don't know that you can do that and it's okay to do it. And because what happens is a lot of people just collect Social Security at 62, Randy, because their neighbor did and their dad did. And sometimes that's not the right thing to do. Sometimes it is. Some people say, I'm not going to collect till 70, but maybe you should collect earlier. Did mom and dad even live to 80, 85 years old? Because a break-even point, doesn't matter what age you collect, is right around 81, 80 years old. And so if you don't have family members that live that long and your health isn't great, we probably should collect. So, right, this is a conversation you come in, you have with us and the advisors, so we can get to know you. See where you're at, and you could be healthy as can be, and you could probably live to 100, then maybe delaying is the best thing. But our job is to do the math for you, be the mediator, give you our recommendations, and then you pull the trigger, right?
So I hear a number of things both ways, and I think you got to take it all in consideration. If you take money at 62 from Social Security and you pass away, you can't pass on your Social Security. You can pass on your 401k. So why not take Social Security and give your heirs as much 401k money as possible? I've heard that. I've also heard I'll take it at 62 and I'll invest it. And then I don't need it. I'll invest it. And then that way I'll have more later on when I actually do retire. I've heard that as well. There are arguments both ways. But as you say, you just got to do the math.
You got to do the math because one person is going to be totally different than the other person. It really depends on where's the income coming? Are there pensions? Do they pass on? What's the estate plan? Are we passing money on? What are we trying to accomplish in retirement? Is all of our money go to charities? There's so much in that decision. Are we going to be healthy enough, right? And knock on wood, we don't, get hit by a truck on our way out the office, right? So there's so many things and unknowns you don't know. Our job is to help you know and at least get a little more familiar so you can make a better educated, prudent decision on your finances.
Job number one in retirement planning is, Charisse, what is my paycheck? And Social Security planning is a big part of that. And we're gonna tackle that probably job number one. So give us a call. Let's sit down and walk through it. If that's your big question, when should I take Social Security? Let's do the math on that. 833-368-3680 is our number. A free appointment with Charisse, no obligation. Let's sit down and look at your numbers and give you a better look at what your retirement looks like and decisions like when to take Social Security. 833-368-3680 or our website, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. There's a gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. Click on that and you'll be on your way. Well, Charisse, you and I have been doing this show for 12 years now?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Time.
Okay. So if we do this show, we do the show every single week. And let's just say, for instance, there's 100 people that are sitting like an audience listening to us every single week. You know how many are actually going to take us up on sitting down and do some retirement planning? Of that 100 people, only 25 will do that. That's the number across the country of people who use financial advisors as opposed to those who don't. So I have a list in front of me of reasons that people don't use a financial advisor. So I wanted you to handle these for me. I'll go through them real quick. There's 6. Number 1, they can't find, or they try to find somebody they can trust. So trust is a big deal. Number 2, they think it's going to cost too much. Number 3, they think they can do this themselves. Number 4, they think that they'll have to give up control of their money. Number 5, they've had a bad past experience. And number 6, they've made some mistakes in their life and they are afraid that they're going to walk in the door and it's just going to be a shaken finger and it's just going to be a lot of judgment. So let's knock these off one at a time. Finding someone you can trust. That's got to be number 1.
It is. I will say people come in and, they ask, they've been listening on some radio show and they're just like, there's those stories of Bernie Madoff. And I was like, oh yes, those are awful stories. People wrote Bernie Madoff those checks. They weren't writing them directly to Fidelity. Transfers weren't taking place through Fidelity. It's going right through to his account, so he has control. So we don't have to worry about that because our Fidelity is the mainframe of who we use to access all the funds. So,
that's your custodian.
Yeah. So finding the custodian you can trust, I think, is a big thing because there are those Bernie Madoffs in the past. There's horror stories out there, even on Google. You hear advisors took people for their money. You hear these fearmongers out there saying why you shouldn't have an advisor and you should just buy and hold because you're going to get to the same place, which is not a true statement. And so it's all the noise out there. It's hard. And then, maybe you got bounced around yourself while you were working. You had a 401k and you just got wrong information. Maybe you're listening to your neighbor. Maybe it was a family member and then you made a mistake and you took big losses. So I understand it's very hard to find someone that you can trust. And I recommend that you do not go with a financial advisor that you have any question about, you have any gut about, I don't know, but I really need one. I don't know. I really don't want to interview anymore. Do not pick a financial advisor until you find that right one. I'm giving you that voice and that power to make that decision because they've got to be right. Even if you come in and see us, you're like, I don't know, it's not right. I get it. Make sure it's right.
Okay. Well, there's a red flag right there to begin with. If you sit down with someone and it's ABC Wealth Management and they say, make your check out to ABC Wealth Management, run the other way. Okay. Run the other way. They've got to have a custodian. It's got to be somebody like, Fidelity or Vanguard or Schwab or something like that. That's where the money is kept, not with your advisor.
And that's the advice. And they very well they might not be, a Bernie Madoff type of Ponzi scheme, but that would be a first standard
red
of
flag,
advice.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. Number 2 is cost. People believe that financial advisors are very expensive. You and I have just had a conversation about fees. Talk to me about services. Talk to me about fair prices. Talk to me about how people are paid. And is it worth it?
Yeah. So it depends what you want, right? If you are riding solo and you don't even understand the stock market or you don't understand the alternatives and you're not going to do anything or make a move, the cost is probably worth it. But at what cost and what price point? And we talked about earlier, if you're being charged 2% on all your money, if you're being charged 1.5% on all your money, you're paying way too much. Your advisors should have some options for you that are free, 0 cost, some options that are 0.5%, some options are 1%. And if you're going really active and like day trading style, maybe 1.5, depending on what you're looking for. But saving is a big deal and cost is a big deal because you came from a 401k that had costs built into it. You didn't know it, but back in the day, they were 2%. They've gotten better. They're more like 1%. And I know people don't believe that because they don't see the fee, but they're there. Trust me, they're not doing stuff for free. And then you retire and you have all these advisors are saying, oh, Edelman's, we'll charge you 1.25 or 1.5, and Fisher is going to charge 1.25 to 1.5. And you're thinking, gosh, maybe I need these guys. You only need them if you want to buy and hold strategy, right? And you're not looking for a retirement planner and you're looking for what you did when you were in your 401k. But if you want a really well-oiled, holistic financial plan, you should be looking for an average of a 1% fee. Sometimes less, maybe sometimes a little higher, maybe 1.25, maybe. But they're doing tax planning, they're doing Social Security planning, they're doing Medicare planning. They're not a deer in the headlights when you need an elder attorney or you are going through a Medicaid spend down and a spouse just goes into a nursing home. Like they've got that retirement program built in for you and they're there every step of the way, right? But again, average for an aggregate portfolio, you really shouldn't be paying over 1%.
Well, you need to know what you're paying for. So if you walk in the door and they say 1 or 1.25%, you got to say, what am I getting for that? because a buy and hold strategy, you can do that at home.
Yeah, you can.
You can do that at home.
And probably do just even better.
Well, let's talk about that. The next one on the list is they feel they can do it themselves. Talk to me about that one.
I'm going to give you a applaud if you feel like you can do it yourself.
Okay.
Sorry, I had a pen in my hand at the same time. That was awful. So if you feel like you can do it yourself, I'm going to implore you and say, go for it. And when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, we'll be here waiting for you. That's all I got to say about that. Because you know what? Very well, some people do. I sat down with a doctor the other day, super smart. And I looked at what he did and why he did it. And I'm like, so why did you do this? Where are you going next? And he answered. He got an A. He got an A+ score on his test with me. I'm like, I love it, you, and I love what you're doing. And when you need me, I'll be here, but you're doing a great job until it's broke or until you just don't want to do it anymore. Just keep doing what you're doing. So there are some people out there, but don't think you're going to retire and all of a sudden be this math magician following stocks. Because I know you're out there. I talk to you all the time. All of you, I know who you are. And let me just say, it's exciting. You have time to really watch the market and you're going to be really great at it. But 9 out of 10 times, there's failure along the way and you're not sure what you did wrong. Oh, I wish I would have done that. I waited too long to get back in. I hear it all the time and that's okay. Dare to explore. Just know we're here when you are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Well, I just don't want to be on a cruise and walk past a television that has CNN on talking to me about a market crash and I'm running to my phone and my computer while I'm on vacation, while I'm in retirement and worried about that. I want somebody else to be
a lot of
doing that.
retirees do too, Randy. A lot of people was like, I'm handing over the reins. I want to enjoy life, go travel. And Cherise, you and your team deal with the stress. I'm like, I am honored that you want us to handle that for you and no problem. That's what we do here.
There you go. All right. Number 4 on our list of reasons that people don't hire a financial advisor is they feel they have to give up control of their money.
Oh, well, I got an answer for this one. So we have a lot of people that fear that, like they're not ready to hand over the reins. So we do have a special program for the non 100% rein holders. and what that is we're going to have an account for you and we're going to manage some stuff. And then we're going to watch what you're managing over here. If you want to do buying and selling, because we can do trading privileges for you to do that. And when you come in for reviews, I might ask, why did you do that? And blah, blah, blah. And so a lot of people do love that because now we're kind of side by side. We're partners. And he's like, well, I saw you guys do this, so I did it. I'm like, well, I like it. But now we have overlap. We're doing the same thing. So I let my portfolio do something different than yours. So it's not all doing the same thing. They're like, oh, yeah. And so eventually they do hand over all those reins, but we do allow it. So don't feel like you're giving up control. You're a part of this conversation. You are a partner to us. We're sitting on the same side of the table. We want your accounts to grow. I want to make money. You want to make money. This is like a happy place to be in, right? Because when we're managing your money in a market, we don't make commissions, right? We're fiduciaries. We can't do that. So for the first time, we are aligned as individuals that are trying to invest our money and as financial advisors to say, hey, let's double this thing. How do we do it? Can you manage that risk? How do we do it? And I just think people really appreciate that part of what we do here.
Well, I think you've said in the past that sometimes people will kind of dip their toe in the water and say, Cherise, I like what you stand for. I like what I hear. I'm going to give you $500,000 to start, but that's not all of my assets. And I want to see how you do. It's a little bit of a test run, isn't it? And you don't have to turn over all your money to somebody. You don't have to do that.
No, I have an amazing client for years now. I remember he came in with $4 million. He's like, I'm going to give you $1 million. And the next year he gave me $2 million. And then the next year he's like, take it all. You're beating me. You're doing better. I didn't want to deal with this. I need to be enjoying retirement. And I'm like, I told you so.
Okay.
It was fun. He's a great one.
Number 5 on our list, we're going to kind of skip by because I think we've handled it, a bad experience in the past.
Yeah.
But number 6, I really can relate to because when you walk into a financial advisor's office, it's literally like opening up your underwear drawer. It's like, I'm going to show you all the good, all the bad. Yes, I dipped into my 401k because I got in credit card trouble. Yes, I made some mistakes. Yes, I invested in this. That was a bad idea. And it's all going to be right there for you to see. And they're afraid of that judgment.
Fear of judgment. I know. Get over yourselves. It's not about you. It's about that Rolodex of money you got sitting there. We need to make sure that counts. Listen, some people, they come in and they've got millions. Some people come in, they've got 500,000. The job here at Zinnia Wealth is to take the fear out of retiring too late and making sure that you're on track. So don't fear judgment. This is a judgment-free zone because you and everyone else that comes in here, they don't speak the language we speak. They don't all have the same amount of money, but we're doing the same thing. If you got 4 million, if you have 500, we're still doing the income plan for you. We're still doing the tax plan for you. If you have 500, then we want to see, well, can you retire? Or, hey, are you retired and you're pulling too much money out and I see you run out of money right here? Do you plan to live longer than that? Like, it's that conversation. Don't be bashful. Don't fear judgment. We're always up for a curveball. And if we got to make changes or we got to help you or just do tough love conversations, hey, listen, if you keep doing this, you will run out of money. That is what you're coming in for because you need to know. And somebody's got to give you constructive criticism. I expect constructive criticism, and you should too, because that's positive criticism to help you for your future so that fear of running out of money, maybe it goes away, or that fear that you can't spend money because you might run out of money. Listen, put a plan together. Let's enjoy your retirement years, especially those go-go years, the first 10 years. Front load your income. Forget judgment. Enjoy life. Find somebody you trust and have that really great gut feeling about.
Well, we have to just take you from where you are right now. We can't be looking back. Yes, okay, there was a mistake made, but let's figure out where you are today and how we're going to get you to where you want to be. Give us a call. Let's do that complimentary retirement consultation. We do it at no charge. Give us a call, 833-368-3680, 833-368-3680, or our website, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. There's a gold box at the bottom of the page. You'll see it says complimentary retirement consultation. You click on that, you'll be on your way. All right, Sharice, we got a couple of minutes left in the show, and I just wanted you to deal with this because it actually just came in on the news. Humana has announced that they are going to dump 550,000 people who have their Medicare Advantage plan. They say that this particular plan is unprofitable and they need to cut costs in order to buoy their stock. All right. So there are going to be a bunch of people that are going to get email notices or notices in the mail that they're losing their Medicare Advantage plan. You have been a champion of helping people with Medicare throughout your entire career. What should somebody do if they get a notification like that?
Go shopping. Okay. Let me tone it down a little bit. Okay. So last year we told you guys that there was going to be some issues in the Medicare Advantage world, and we're already starting to see it. They're not going to get as much money. They're going to start upping costs to you. If you're not seeing it this year, you're going to see it every year moving forward. And this is not the only company that's losing a plan. And so 550,000 is not a ton, but it's still a lot. And they're just not making as much money because there's tighter constraints and the funding isn't as lucrative. And so what do you do? Well, come see us. Number one, we'll help you with your Medicare and give you some advice. And or call Medicare and they'll help you change your plans because there's tons of other plans. This just means, okay, maybe you have a great plan. Maybe you're on this one particular plan because it's so good, which is not so good for the company, right? So find another one that's closest to it, right? So there's the AARP Medicare Advantage plan. There's Blue Cross Advantage plan. So if you're looking for a plan that potentially doesn't have a monthly fee besides your Medicare Part B premium, there's plenty of them out there. Here in Marion County, what do we got, like 27 of them? And give us a call. We don't offer those Medicare Advantage plans, I'll be honest with you. We got out of that world. We refer you out to people who offer them, but I'm very picky about the people and the companies that you're using because the next company you get, what if it happens again and you have to do this again? I know it's a little stressful because now you got to go to a plan, and if it's not Humana, it's another company that you have to start calling your doctors, hey, are you going to take this new plan? And making sure they're on the plan. Never look at the books where the provider list is. Call your doctors. If you're going to switch plans, make sure they're taking them so there's no big changes there. So there is going to be a window of opportunity, so you don't have to stress out about it. They're going to give you some time to switch your plan. Just making sure that your prescription drugs line up with the new plan. And this is also a really good opportunity if you say, you know what, Charisse, I've been jumping through hoops to even use this plan. Maybe it's time to go to Medicare supplement. That's where we can help you. We offer every Medicare supplement under the sun, from AARP to Mass Mutual to United American, you name it. And it's where you do pay a premium every month. But guess what? As long as it's medically necessary, you can go wherever you want. There's no questions asked in the United States. There's no hoops you got to jump through. I mean, it's definitely, you pay for what you get, right? So you're paying a premium for it. And in the national average, I don't know, it's $140 a month. As long as you can afford that, maybe that's the next direction, because you're in this open enrollment and these plans can't say no to you, basically. So That's the way to look at it. So we'd be happy to help you, or at least send you down a direction where we feel like they're a really great group.
Well, what Charisse always says, she uses that term holistic retirement planning, and this is exactly what that is. You're not going to get that kind of information from your stockbroker, right? Okay. Give us a call. We'll sit down and build that retirement plan with you, for you. Here's our website, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. Hit the gold box. It says complimentary retirement consultation. You can call us at 833-368-3680. Again, 833-368-3680. And remember, we also have our podcast out there on your podcast provider. You can check that out as well. There's a lot of ways to access Retirement Coffee Talk. Charisse, that is all the time we have for today. I'll give you the last word.
Wow, time flies by. What a week. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember, if you want to hit the rewind button and hear the earlier parts of this show, because we talked a lot today, go to our podcast. We're on your Apple phones under podcasts. We're on Spotify, iTunes. We're on YouTube. You name it. You can catch us and hear what we had to say. And as usual, live by design and not by default. And we'll see you here next week.
This has been Retirement Coffee Talk. To find out more about how the strategies we've discussed on this program can build the retirement you've been wanting, call Zinnia Wealth at 352-368-3680 or visit us online at zinniawealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. The firm only conducts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded from registration requirements. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Insurance products are offered through Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC, Florida license L078655, and Charisse Rivers, Florida license P037744. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, and Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC are affiliated entities. The information presented is believed to be current. It should not be viewed as personalized investment advice. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the presenter on the date of the podcast and are subject to change. The information presented is not an offer to buy or sell or a solicitation of any offer to buy or sell any of the securities discussed. You should consult with a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Any legal or tax information provided in this podcast is general in nature. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation. Any client experience discussed on this show are unique to that client. Annuity and life insurance guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. If you withdraw money from or surrender your contract within a certain time after investing, the insurance company may assess a surrender charge. Withdrawals may be subject to tax penalties and income taxes. Persons selling annuities or other insurance products receive compensation for these transactions. These commissions are separate and distinct from fees charged for advisory services. Insurance products also contain additional fees and expenses. Social Security rules and regulations are subject to change at any time. Always consult with your local Social Security office before acting upon any information provided herein. References to specific investments should not be construed as being past-specific recommendations. The returns for various indices discussed in this podcast do not represent the performance of the firm or any of its advisory clients. Returns do not reflect the impact that advisory fees will have on an investment. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All investment strategies have potential for profit or loss. Different types of investments involve higher and lower levels of risk. There is no guarantee that a a specific investment strategy will be suitable or profitable for an investor's portfolio. Historical performance returns for investment indexes and/or categories usually do not deduct transaction and/or custodial charges or advisory fees, which would decrease historical performance results. There are no guarantees that a portfolio will match or outperform a specific benchmark. Investments in fixed income products are subject to liquidity risk, market risk, index rate risk, credit risk, inflation risk, purchasing power risk, and taxation risk. Because bond prices fluctuate continually, their yields change constantly.